Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanamaham prapadye nishkalam nishkriyam shantam niravadyam niranjanam amritasya param setum dagadhendhanamivanalam Om asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya aviravir rudrayatte dakshinam mukham te namam pahi nityam Om shanti 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 Om shakti samudra samuttarangam darshita prema vijrumbhitarangam samshaya rakshasanasha mahastram Yami Gurum Sharanam Bhava Vaidyam Advaya Tattva Samahita Chittam Projvala Bhakti Patavrita Vrittam Karma Kalevara Madbhuta Cheshtam Yami Gurum Sharanam Bhava Vaidyam Naradeva Deva Jaya Jaya Naradeva Paratatve sadalino Ramakrishna samagyaya yo dharmasthapanarato viresham tam namamyaham Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. My respectful pranams to Swami Atmapriyananda who is present here, Swami Atmapriyananda on the dais, and my co-speaker, Mr. Mahapatra, and my love and namaskars to all the monastic members, and the little Vivekananda who recited the Chicago speech just now, and all the devotees of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Sharada in this part of the country. It's very interesting that Swami Vivekananda traveled all over India, as all of you know, but he did not touch Orissa. Why Swami Vivekananda did not come to Orissa at all is an enigma. One answer could be that he left it to Rakhal. So as far as Orissa is concerned, it's all Rakhal, everywhere. Perhaps Swami Vivekananda wanted Swami Brahmananda to take charge of Orissa. And Sri Ramakrishna, as you know, did not visit Puri. The legend is that if he had gone there, he would remember the source from which he incarnated and would merge into Jagannath. So he did not go. That is the interpretation which we normally give. Interestingly, Swami Vivekananda also did not visit Puri. And when Holy Mother Sharada Devi visited Puri, she took out a picture of Ramakrishna and showed him, this is Puri. So these are interesting incidents. Why these things happen, we do not know. But Swami Brahmananda has a very special affection for Orissa, particularly because of the Jagannath Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later. The wave of bhakti has been aroused here in such a way that it swept the whole of India. The bhakti movement in Orissa is so powerful that you will see any person coming from Orissa will always be a great bhaktiman or bhaktimati, and his or her attitude towards life will completely be different. The kind of bhakti which Swami Vivekananda wanted, not the emotional kind of namby-pamby bhakti, but a bhakti which is based on strength, like Hanuman Mahavir, who was willing to give his life for Rama. At the same time, in the Ravana's court, he was like a lion. He burnt the whole of Lanka. The combination of nirbhikatva, fearlessness, and humility. 26 Daivi Sampat in the Bhagavad Gita begins with amanitvam, begins with abhayam, and ends with Natimanita. Very interesting how the entire spectrum of 26 is hedged on both sides by Abhayam in the beginning and Natimanita at the end. Abhayam, as you know, is fearlessness, and Natimanita is humility. Not claiming anything for oneself. Namrata. See, a person who is fearless may make the mistake of being arrogant, and a person who is humble may become weak. So the Bhagavan hedges his 26 Daivi Sampat, starting from Abhayam and ending with Natimanita. Now, I would like to dwell upon not Swami Vivekananda per se, but Narendranath. We usually miss the Narendranath portion of Swami Vivekananda's life, and every one of us is fond of saying, sisters and brothers of America, see, how did Vivekananda become the Vivekananda that he was? What was Narendranath before that? And how Ramakrishna transformed him into a world leader and the thundering Vedanta Keshari, Swami Vivekananda. It's a great story which we normally miss. So I'll just narrate a few incidents from his life. All of us know that Sri Ramakrishna said, my mind was soaring higher and higher and higher. It went to the higher spheres, the Devaloka. Devadevis were there, still higher, and where the mind and speech could not reach. There I saw 7 rishis immersed in samadhi. I do not know what you will make of this. This is exactly, I am quoting what Ramakrishna said. Then he was wondering, these rishis should be extraordinarily great in tapasya, in tyaga, and in meditation and samadhi and purity, much higher than even the Devadevis. He was wondering about the divine qualities of these rishis. Then he saw the luminosity, the effulgence of that place. Suddenly a portion condensed in the form of a child, and the little child, so sweet, and its voice was extraordinarily sweet. Veena Ninandita Kantha, there's a statement in Bengali. It came to one of the rishis and clasping his neck and said, Ami jachi tomakeও যেতে হবে. I am going, you also should come. And the gentle touch of this divine child, the rishi came down from samadhi, opened his eyes, and smiled in assent. Again went back to samadhi. When he saw Narendranath for the first time, Sri Ramakrishna could recognize he is that rishi. And Swami Sharadananda records in his Sri Ramakrishna Lila Prasanga, a portion of this rishi's mind and body came as Narendranath. What would have happened to the entire rishi had come, we do not know. And he later on said, the divine child was he himself. This is the real Swarupa, real nature of Narendranath, later on Swami Vivekananda. Sri Ramakrishna recognized him at the very first instance. Then he told him, you come to Dakshineshwar alone. When he came, Swami Sharadananda again writes, on the very first instance, Sri Ramakrishna wanted to impart the highest Nirvikalpa Samadhi by a touch. He touched his chest by his feet, and Naren was entering into Samadhi. The entire world is whirling and whirling, was melting into some kind of void, and he cried out, "Oh, what are you doing to me? I have parents at home. Ki korcho amar baap ma ache." Sri Ramakrishna smiled and said, "Come on, be it so." This instance, once again, very interesting. Panchabhutire phade brahma pode kande. This is a statement in the Kathamrita. Why did Ramachandra weep when he lost Sita to Ravana? Even Brahman weeps when he is encased in the 5 elements, Panchabhuta. Incarnation of God in Avatara, although he always has the remembrance of his real nature, because the inscrutable Maya of this world, which he himself happily accepts. All of us are Maya Adhisha, Maya Adhina, and the Lord is Maya Adhisha. He is the Supreme Lord who controls Maya, and we are helplessly caught in Maya. The Bhagavan says in the Gita, well-known text, Sambhavami Atmamayaya, Prakritim Swam Avashtabhya, Sambhavami Atmamayaya. By controlling my own Prakriti, I incarnate myself through my inscrutable power of Maya. And he happily accepts this bondage. Not that he is bound in the body. Nobody can bind the Supreme Being, but he accepts bondage as it were happily. Yapitam swalila yachayena divya jivanam swikritam chagarbhava sadeha pashamidrisham tam namami deva deva Ramakrishnameshwaram. Swami Vivekananda's famous hymn, in which he says, happily accepts his body and becomes a small baby, as it were, apparently helpless, so that man can be taught. Why does an incarnation come down? There are huge discussions everywhere. The Bhagavad Gita also says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkratam, and so on. In the Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful description in the first chapter. Kunti Devi gives a wonderful explanation. Kunti Devi, the mother of the Pandavas, a great jnani and a bhakta. She said, incarnation of God comes down in order to create great infinite themes for meditation. He creates so many themes so that by meditating in any one of the themes, you can get liberation. Our minds are restless. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathe valavadridham, oft quoted in the Bhagavad Gita. And the Guru tells you, take this mantra, meditate on this form. Fix your mind on this. Mayyeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya, Bhagavad Gita. You tell, oh Lord, how is it possible? My mind can be fixed anywhere. Again you try. You keep on, when it is running away, you keep on pulling the mind. You become so tired, you go to sleep. That's why the moment you try to meditate and do japa, you go to sleep. Because constantly you're wrestling with the mind. There's an interesting story. An elderly woman was not getting sleep at all. She said, I'm not getting sleep, what should I do? Then another lady said, Ari, it's very easy. I tried so much. All kinds of systems of medicine in India and abroad. I spent so much money, I'm not getting sleep. He said, I solved the whole problem, just 500 rupees you spend. He said, so? I'll tell you the secret. Go to Belur Math or any of the gurus of the Ramakrishna order, take a mantra. The moment you start doing the japa, you'll get excellent sleep. যে মুহূর্তে জপ করতে বসবে এত সুন্দর তোমার ঘুম হবে. Why? Because the mantra calms your mind. There's a harmony which is brought up, and that harmony, unless you're sufficiently pure and elevated, harmony usually brings you to sleep. The maximum moment of harmony that you get is during sleep. You don't disturb anybody, nobody disturbs you. Unless you snore. ನಾ ಡಾಕ್ಲೆ কাউকে ডিস্টার্ব করতে পারবেন না, আপনিও ডিস্টার্ব হবেন না। So the Lord says, you cannot concentrate on me, I will do one thing, I will help you. Is it all right if I go with your mind? আমার মনটা চঞ্চল, আমি তোমার উপরে স্থির করতে পারছি না, ভগবানকে আমরা বলি, উনি ভগবান বলছে ঠিক আছে, একটা কাজ করো, তোমার মন যেখানে যেখানে যাচ্ছে আমি সঙ্গে সঙ্গে যদি যাই, এটা খুব ভালো। Then you keep the company of the Lord all the time. This is called video of spirituality. আগে স্টিল পিকচার ছিল, ঠাকুরকে দেখতে ওটা একটা পিকচারে। The Avatara comes to create videos. You think of any part of Sri Ramakrishna's Leela, Rama Leela or Krishna Leela, you keep on moving with him. It's called Leela Chintana. Many great Swamis have recommended this. Leela Chintan karo. সকালবেলা উঠে একবার বেলুমঠে ঘুরে এসো, একবার কামারপুকুরে যাও, বেলুমঠে ঠাকুরের ঘরে গিয়ে বসো, ওখানে দেখো রাখাল নরেন সব বসে আছে, ঠাকুর গান করছেন, ঠাকুর সমাধিস্থ হচ্ছেন। You go on thinking about this Leela Chintana, and then 1 hour, 2 hours will simply go. So the Avatara comes to create themes for meditation. This is one theory, one explanation for why the Avatara comes. Now, why did Naren, who came down all the way from Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when given once again the Samadhi by a touch of Sri Ramakrishna, became so nervous and shouted, "Oh, ki korcho tumi amar bap ma ache." This is inscrutable Maya. You find the explanation in Shankara's Bhashya, Shankara's commentary in the Kathopanishad, Esha sarvesha bhuteshu gudhotmana prakashate. In that he says, this Atman which is hidden in all beings does not reveal itself to anybody. Why? Because of Maya. He says, Aho adigambhira daravagahya vichitra chayam maya yadayam sarvo jantuhu. All beings are being constantly told that you are that self. Swarupataha Paramatma Swarupo api evam bodhyamano api aham Paramatma iti na grinhati. Repeated, the Guru tells you, the scripture tells you, you are not an ordinary limited individual, you are that infinite self. But we don't realize that. Anuchyamano api aham mamushya putra iti grinhati. Nobody comes and tells a child, you are so and so son. But spontaneously we believe he is my father, he is my mother, he is my grandfather, and so on. So automatically it comes. That came to Naren also. What was Ramakrishna's reaction? He was very disappointed. He said, the same Rishi which I brought down, why is he reacting like this? Then he put him to a test. He took him to the Shambhumalik's garden house, put him into a trance. He himself says, he went deep into himself and answered some questions which I put. Who he is, where he is coming from, how long would we stay in the earth, and so on. Delving deep into the innermost consciousness, he gave correct answers to all this. Then I realized he is the same person who is a Saptarishi. And you should remember, we always often say, but Swami Vivekananda's teachings are apparently contradictory to Sri Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna said, if you open the Gospel any page, Bhagavan labhe jivan uddeshya, Ishwar labh jodi manushya janma pe Ishwar labh na kara hai, jivanta vrtha. ঈশ্বর এসে সামনে দাঁড়ালে তোমরা বলবে আমাকে হসপিটাল করে দাও, আমাকে স্কুল করে দাও? তার পাদপদ্মে কিন্তু তুমি ভক্তি চাইবে। ঈশ্বরই সব, God alone is real, everything else is unreal. ঈশ্বরই সত্য, সব অনিত্য, hundreds of thousands of times in the gospel. If you open any page of Swami Vivekananda, what will he say? Work, work, work. Give your whole life for the sake of others. Who cares for mukti and bhakti? Manusher jonna khete khete more jao. You know, the great blessing which Swamiji gave all his disciples. আমি খুব খুশি হব যদি জানি যে তোমরা অপরের জন্য খেটে খেটে মরে গেছিস. So all the disciples of Swamiji died very young, including Nivedita, Alasinga Perumal, everybody. মা বললেন দীর্ঘায়ু হ. All the disciples of mother lived up to 1995. So what is the contrast? Just now by thinking about this I discovered, in fact it was Ramakrishna who spoke the Vivekananda's language to Vivekananda himself. Vivekananda was speaking, Narendranath was speaking Ramakrishna's language. Naren ki chailo? Ki chash? Thakur bollen. আমি নির্বিকল্প সমাধিতে ডুবে থাকব, মাঝে মধ্যে একটু এসে খাবো, খেতে হবে তো, সেটা কারণ আছে। বাইরে এসে জগৎকে না দেখলে নির্বিকল্প আনন্দের স্বাদটা বোঝা যায় না। প্রচণ্ড রোদে ঘুরে 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 এসিতে এলে বোঝা যাবে এসিটা কি মহত্ব। তখন ঠাকুর কি বললেন, এটার এই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা হচ্ছে ঠাকুরের, কিন্তু ঈশ্বরে ডুবে থাকো, ঈশ্বরই সব, ইমার্স ইয়োরসেলফ ইন গড, ডোন্ট থিঙ্ক অফ এনিথিং এলস। এটা ঠাকুরের ভাষা। সেই ভাষা কে বলছে? নরেন। ঠাকুর কি বলছেন? ছি ছি, এটা হীন বুদ্ধি, এত ছোট নজর করিস নি রে, তুই বটবৃক্ষ হয়ে সকলকে কিন্তু ছায়া দিবি, তোর ছায়াতে এসে কত লোক, লক্ষ লক্ষ মানুষ আনন্দ পাবে, শান্তি পাবে, এটাই তোমার আসার উদ্দেশ্য, এত ছোট নজর করিস নি। নির্বিকল্প সমাজ অতি তুচ্ছ। দিস ইজ দ্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অফ নরেন, লেটার অন বিবেকানন্দ। আপনারা বুঝতে পারছেন কী বলছি আমি? যেই ভাষাটা নরেন সবসময় পরবর্তীকালে বিবেকানন্দ হয়ে বলে গেল, সেই ভাষা ঠাকুরের কাছ থেকে নিয়েছে। ঠাকুর নরেনের ভাষা বলেছিলেন তুমি ডুবে থাকো, তাদেরকে তিরস্কার করছে। এইটা বুঝে নিলে রামকৃষ্ণ বিবেকানন্দের যে রহস্যের যে চাবিকাঠি পাওয়া গেল। সো ঠাকুরের দুটি জিনিস। So he had two big tasks. One is, নরেনকে কালী মানাতে হবে, because he came from অখণ্ডের ঘর বলছেন, the realm of the indivisible, অখণ্ডের ঘরের লোক। He came from the realm of the indivisible, which is beyond the mind and the body and the senses and what. अशब्दमस्पर्शमरूपमव्ययं तथारसं नित्यमगन्धवच्चयत् अनाद्यनन्तं महतः परं ध्रुवं निचायतन् मृत्युमुखात् प्रमुच्यते। कठोपनिषद। अशब्दम् अस्पर्शम् अरूपं नान्तप्रज्ञं न बहिःप्रज्ञं न उभयतप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञं अदृष्टं व्यवहार्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवमद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः। Mandikoparishad. So Atman is described as neti neti, not this, not this. And the entire world of duality has to be completely transcended to be able to realize the Supreme Brahman. এই দ্বৈত প্রপঞ্চকে সমস্তগুলোকে ঊর্ধ্বে না উঠলে ঈশ্বরকে জানা যাবে না, অথবা ব্রহ্মকে জানা যাবে না। So this is the statement. So Narayan was called from that state, from that realm of the indivisible. Thakur বলছে অখণ্ডের ঘরের লোক। অখণ্ডের ঘরের লোককে কি করে এই জগতে কাজ করানো যাবে? ঠাকুরের সমস্যা কিন্তু বিশাল। আমরা বলছি না আমাদের সমস্যা, আমরা কী করবো? ঠাকুর বিশাল সমস্যা, টেনে নিয়ে এলেন, কাজ করাবো কী করে? সব সময় নারায়ণ বলছে অখণ্ডের ঘরে আবার যাব। ঘর ছাড়া তো, ঘর ছাড়া হলে কীরকম লাগে? সবসময় ঘুরে বেড়াচ্ছে, কোথায় যাব? আরে আমার ঘরটাই হারিয়ে গেল। ঠাকুর কিন্তু ওর চোখটা ভালো করে বেঁধে দিয়ে ঘরটা কিন্তু চিনতে দিলেন না। blindfolded him so that he could not recognize the Akhandeya Ghar. And he had to be able to work in this world of relativity, which is under Shakti. you should remember this entire world of relativity, Dvaita Prapancha, এই সমস্তগুলো শক্তির এলাকা ঠাকুর বলছেন. So if you are always poised in the realm of the indivisible, you can't work in this world. নরেনকে কাজ করাতে গেলে শক্তিকে মানাতেই হবে. নরেন শক্তি মানবে না. দেখুন টাসলটা দেখুন, এই অবতার লীলা, নরেনকে শক্তি মানতে হবে. নরেন ঠাট্টা করে বলছে ঠাকুরকে, তিনি এখনো কালীঘরে যান, কালী মানবে না, নরেনকে কি করে মানাবে? নরেনের বাবা মারা গেল. নরেনের মতন অত্যন্ত প্রতিভাবান একটি ছেলে তখনকার দিনে, ও 2 টাকার চাকরি পেল না কলকাতাতে. ঠাকুরের লীলা. Such a talented person like Narendranath could not get a small job in Calcutta of 5 rupees. তখনকার দিনে 5 টাকা না বিশাল. ঠাকুরের মাইনে ছিল কত জানেন তো? 7 টাকা. Naren was moving here and there, desperate, and he could see his mother, brothers almost dying of starvation. Tears welled up. He was crying, what can I do for my family? ঠাকুর এখান থেকে দেখছেন মায়াবী শ্রীকৃষ্ণ and Sri Ramakrishna, both of them are Mayavis. Be very careful about both of them. Beautiful smile দেবেন, সুন্দর হাসবেন, তোমাকে মোহিত করে টানবেন, একটা পাকড়ি দিয়ে বসিয়ে দেবেন, তারপরে ঘুরতে থাকো তুমি. আপনারাও কিন্তু এসে গেছেন, আমরাও কিন্তু পুরো ঠাকুর বললেন না, আমি বাপু বেশি কাটিয়ে পড়ে গিয়েছি. So all of you are caught, we are also caught helplessly. So his mischievous, bewitching, beautiful smile, and it simply captures all of you. He did to Naren. He could not get out of Thakur's fold. So much of love he gave him, so much of blessings he gave him, Naren could not get out. But he was constantly seeing his brothers and mother dying, starving. অনেক সময় নিজে না খেতে পেরে আমি বাইরে কোথাও খেয়েছি বলে একটু চলে যেতেন, যাতে যেটুকু খাবার আছে সকলে খেয়ে নেবে. কি করবেন ভেবে পাচ্ছেন না. ঠাকুরের কাছে গিয়ে বলবো না এটা ঠিক হবে, কি করি? চলো ঠাকুরের কাছে যাই. কিরে কি হয়েছে? আমি আর পারছি না, আপনি একটু মাকে বলুন না. এই তো চলো. See how he caught him, made him helpless, made him cry. Then finally he came to him, আপনি একটু মাকে একটু বলুন না. খোঁচাটা দেখুন. He is so desperate, so deeply concerned, worried, crying. ওখানে আস্তে করে খোঁচা দিচ্ছেন, তুই মাকে মানিস না রে, সেই জন্য এত কষ্ট. Naren was the most innocent of the Ramakrishna Parimandalas, like a child. He did not know he was so talented, he did not know his spiritual potential, he was not made to know. Naren's greatness was unconscious. He was unconsciously great, he was not made to know about his greatness. Then Naren says, আমি তো ওনাকে চিনি না, আপনি জানেন, আপনি কথা কন, আপনি মাকে একটু বলুন না. না রে তুই বল, আজকে ভালো দিন, মঙ্গলবার, মা যা চাইবি মা দেবে. You know the story. He went, forgot everything. Ma bhakti dao, vivek dao. Normally, what does the Guru do? Guru wants the disciple to get bhakti and viveka and vairagya and jnana. The strange Guru and the strange disciple, Astarjo Vakta, Kushalasya Labdha, Sri Ramakrishna is irritated. Ki bhule geli, abar jao. Naren could not ask anything worldly. Any Guru would be delighted and happy. But this Guru, peculiar Guru, is irritated and unhappy. Go, again go. 3 times he went. 3rd time he remembered, could not ask. Then he permanently became a slave of Mother Kali. Swamiji says, he made me a slave of her. He made me over to her. Ami, my gulam, পরে গোলাম করে দিয়েছেন. স্বামীজি বলছেন, যাকে তিনি কালী বলতেন, সেই শক্তি আমার মধ্যে প্রবেশ করেছে, আমাকে শান্তিতে থাকতে দেবে না. The power which he used to call Kali entered into me and did not give me any rest. Then, ঠিক আছে মোটা ভাত খাওয়ার কোনো উপায় না। ফার্স্ট টাস্ক অ্যাকমপ্লিশড। ঠাকুরের প্রথম কাজ হয়ে গেল নরনারায়ণ লীলা, রামকৃষ্ণ বিবেকানন্দ লীলাতে। এই যথেষ্ট নয়। দ্বিতীয়টা কি? রামকৃষ্ণকে কালীর অবতার বলে মানতে হবে। তাহলে রামকৃষ্ণের কাজ করবে কেন? কিছুতেই মানবে না। এইদিকে গিরিশচন্দ্র ঘোষ, রামচন্দ্র দত্ত, ঠাকুরের দুই ভক্ত, ওরা কম্বকণ্ঠে প্রচার করছে কলকাতাতে ঠাকুরের অবতারত্ব। গিরিশচন্দ্র ঘোষ আর রামচন্দ্র দত্ত আর in the loudest possible voice they are proclaiming Ramakrishna is an avatara. ঠাকুরের এক প্রতিক্রিয়া কি? অত্যন্ত বিরক্তি প্রকাশ করছেন। একজন ডাক্তার, একজন থিয়েটার করে, ওরা কি বুঝে অবতার? গৌরী পণ্ডিত বৈষ্ণবাচার্যরা বলেছিল, so those who called him avatara, he is irritated. But Narayan is not accepting the avatar, he wanted to make him accept. Narayan, বলুন, আমাকে এর সম্বন্ধে অনেকে অনেক কিছু বলে, তুই কি বলিস? 1000 লোক বলুক, যতক্ষণ না আমি দেখি মানব না। 1000 people call you avatar, I will not accept unless I myself realize it. ঠাকুর ছেড়ে দিলেন। অনেকক্ষণ লড়তে ঠাকুর নরেন্দ্র সাধনা বলে বুধানন্দজি লিখছেন না, কীভাবে নরেনকে বসে আনতে সারা জীবন কাটিয়ে দিল। Whether he cried more for Kali or for Naren is questionable. Finally, he was just about to pass away. He could not turn sides. He was so extremely weak. The prana was just clamoring for release. Naren বলল, মনে মনে ভাবল, এই মুহূর্তে যদি উনি বলেন তিনি অবতার, তাহলে মানব। স্পষ্টভাবে ঠাকুর বললেন, এখন কি সন্দেহ? যে রাম যে কৃষ্ণ সেই ইদানিং রামকৃষ্ণ, কিন্তু তোর বেদান্তের দিকে নয়। নারায়ণ কি মানলেন? খানিকটা মনে হচ্ছে মানলেন, কিন্তু পুরোপুরি সন্দেহ যায়নি। গীতা একাদশতে শুরুতে মোহোয়ম বিগত মামা, আমার মোহটা চলে গেছে। আবার 8টা অধ্যায় হলো কেন? মোহটা যায় আবার এসে যায়। Vigata can be agata also, though the ghost may come back. Last chapter, Nashto mohas pratirlabdha tat prasadan mayachyuta. নষ্ট হয়েছে মোহটা, নষ্ট হয়নি এখনো না। ঠাকুর passed away. Again Narayan is moving here and there all over India, and he suddenly felt very much aggrieved that Sri Ramakrishna did not give him the secret of Hatha Yoga. My body is troubling me so much. If I knew the secret of Hatha Yoga, make my body very strong, then I can do so much. Hatha Yoga secret কোথায় পাবে? পাওহারি বাবা আছেন ঘাসিপুরে, ওনার কাছে গেলে পাওয়া যাবে। এই রাষ্ট্র কাশী ঘাসিপুর। And পাওহারি বাবা, what does this little, what do I know? অনেকক্ষণ কাটে। Then he thought, শিষ্যত্ব গ্রহণ না করলে বোধহয় উনি দেবেন না। I should accept him as a guru, then only he will give. He was lying down, and then this thought came to him, then a luminous form of Sri Ramakrishna, ঠাকুরের দিব্য জ্যোতির্ময় মূর্তি, চোখে জল, নরেন আমাকে ছেড়ে দিবি? নির্বাক আনন্দ ছলো আঁখি, নরেন লজ্জিত হয়ে ছেড়ে দিলেন। Again he thought, again he came. 21 days, Sri Ramakrishna had to struggle to bring Naren back. Then he was fully and totally convinced. This is Ramakrishna Vivekananda Leela, and last day at Kashipur he called him and touched him and put him into Samadhi. And when he came back from Samadhi, Sri Ramakrishna was crying. আজকে সব তোকে দিয়ে ফকির হয়ে গেলাম। He gave all his powers to Sharada Devi during the Shodashi Puja and to Narendranath in the Kashipur. And later on he said, I will work through these two people. The whole power is given to him, and this was how Vivekananda was formed. হঠাৎ করে উনি গিয়ে বিশাল জগৎকে জয় করলেন তা নয়। কী কান্না, কীভাবে কষ্ট পেয়েছেন, কীভাবে ঠাকুর কাঁদিয়ে কাঁদিয়ে ছেড়ে দিয়েছেন ওকে। ইফ ইউ কাম টু ঠাকুর, আপনাকে আমাদেরও কাঁদতে হবে কিছু। ইট ইজ নট ইজি। The path to spiritual progress and the path to spiritual illumination is full of thorns. Then Naren was willing to do what Sri Ramakrishna would do. Once again, the Bhagavad Gita, till the end, Arjuna said, I will not fight. Yad ahankaram ashritya nayosyite vanyase nitchesha vyavasayastve prakritistvam niyokshati. Tor hard korbe. This time he spoke in Bengali. When he came as Krishna, he spoke in Sanskrit. There is the only difference. You have to do, you will made to do it. Then he started his work. He was pushed by divine will. The unknown country, he had never spoke in public at all. Suddenly he finds himself in a place, absolutely innocent like a baby, no practical sense. The most impractical person in Ramakrishna mission, Ramakrishna ordered is Swami Vivekananda. He lost his credentials and he reached there 6 months earlier. Most practical person, acutely, administratively and spiritually extremely careful is Swami Brahmananda. That's called Harihara Atma. He was Hari and Swamiji was Hara. They had such a close bonding, unimaginable kindredship. The only phrase which was reserved for Brahmananda, which Swamiji writes, Abhinna Hridayeshu, in all letters in Bengali writes, Abhinna Hridayeshu. In English they could not translate it. Dear Rakhal kore chhede diyeche. That means they had so much of bonding, Ramakrishna knew. And so many of his spiritual experiences and secrets about the mission he shared with Swami Brahmananda. Thakur bolechen, Raj buddhi ache, Rajya chalate pare, about Brahmananda. He immediately caught it and then said, Raja, Raja kore, Raja Maharaj kore dilen. Such an impractical person, he knew it, and he could not keep anything to himself. Jaha pachen shokal ke diye deben. And therefore he warned everybody, আমার মতন বেহিসাবি খরচা করবি না আর কখনো আমাকে নকল করবি না। These two instructions he gave. Don't ever imitate me, don't be a spendthrift like me. He was pushed a country. And what relevance does his message have to the modern world? Maharaj wanted to highlight on that. In our scriptures, 2 kinds of Brahman are spoken about. One is the transcendental Brahman, the other is immanent Brahman. Devava Brahmano Murte Murtam cha Amurtam cha. One is Murta, one is Amurta. That which is transcendental, beyond the mind and the body and the senses. The other is immanent, Sarvabhyapi. সেই ভগবান সর্বব্যাপী হয়ে সর্বত্র রয়েছেন। শ্রী রামকৃষ্ণ himself gave this message to Naren. সর্বত্র তিনি আছেন, ওকে ছেড়ে দিয়ে কোথায় তুমি যাবে? বহুরূপে সম্মুখে তোমায় ছাড়ি কোথা খুঁজেছ ঈশ্বর ইত্যাদি আছে না, আমরা প্রায় আবৃত্তি করে না বুঝে, তবুও ভালো। So where are you going? If you read the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad very carefully, you will get this idea prominently. Vibhuti Yoga, 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, I will tell you all my vibhutis. What is the first vibhuti? Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayasthita. I remain in all the beings in their hearts as the Atman. That is the greatest vibhuti of God, the first vibhuti. So Swamiji said, why not worship that vibhuti of God? Rather than going for the transcendental Brahman, attaining him in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you can see the same Brahman present everywhere. Kena Upanishad, last verse. Tadvanam nama, Tadvanam ityupasitavyam. He is called Tadvana. That means he is the Atman present in all beings. Swamiji's fundamental message of the Atman, the potential divinity present in everybody, is most relevant in the modern context where there is so much of depression, confusion, people are unhappy everywhere. Then Swamiji comes and says, in you is infinite power. You are potentially divine, particularly in the Western context. Christian theology, which constantly says you are a sinner. You are born in sin, you can't escape it. And therefore, I am born in sin, what should I do? Come here. Come to our Christ. He came, having sent by his divine Father in heaven, as the Son of God, and he died on the cross for the sake of all of us. Vicarious atonement it is called. Amate shakaler jonno uni Krishu buddhage murlen তাকে উপাসনা করো তাহলে কিন্তু তুমি পাপ থেকে মুক্ত হবে। ওরা সকলকে খ্রিস্টান হতে বলছে না, তা কিন্তু ওরা বিশ্বাস করে আহা বেচারা এরা তো নরকে যাবে, এসো না বাবা তোমাকে দেখিয়ে দিচ্ছি মুক্তির পথ। So that is Christian theology. But if you are constantly told পাপি 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 বলতে বলতে তুমি এত ডিপ্রেশন এসে যাবে মানুষের, আমি কি করবো, আমি তো পাপি। Swamiji, when he uttered those words, sin, it is a standing libel and human destiny. Allow me to call my children by their sweet word, Amritasya Putraha. You are the children of immortal bliss. There is no sin in you. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. Do this either by work, worship, psychic control or philosophy, by one or more or all of these, and be free. This is the whole of religion. Doctrines or dogmas, or books or forms or temples or secondary details. Swami Atmapriyananda, in the small book which he wrote about Swamiji's legacy and life, he writes, these are the new Brahma Sutras, the 4 Chatussutri. Old Brahma Sutras are gone in their own way. This is the message which can now give encouragement, hope, and salvation for humanity. Swamiji wanted that this message should spread, the message of the Atman, the potential divinity in everybody, and that divinity is present everywhere. It was there in the Bhagavad Gita, it was there in the Upanishads, but it is not in the books. And the idea of fearlessness. If you are the self, if you are the Atman, if you are beyond all duality, why should I fear? Why do we fear? Dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati. When there is two, there is fear. In one, Advaita, there is no fear. So many definitions of Brahman are there in the Upanishads. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Taittiriya Upanishad. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is one definition of Brahman which is there in the Brihadaranyaka, which is less known and is not highlighted at all before Swamiji came. What is that? Abhayam vai Brahma, Abhayam vai Janaka Praptosi. The name of Brahman is Abhayam. And the Gita says, Brahman name is another 2 more names. Nirdosham hi samam Brahma tasmat Brahmanite sthitaha. Both of them were highlighted by Sharada Devi. Samam and Nirdosham, these are the 2 not attributes, names of Brahman. If you want, Mother said, don't find fault with others. That is possible only when the Brahman is Sthita. If you are in Sthita in Brahman, established in Brahman, you will not see faults because Brahman is Nirdosham, Brahman is Samam, Samatva Buddhi. Swarajyaman amar chele, Amjado amar chele. The Samatva Buddhi will come. These are the ideas there in the scriptures, Gita and the Upanishads. Tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha ishavasya. All these were there. But the Avatara and his disciples came to take out these ideas and make them relevant in the modern context. Swamiji writes in a letter, to put Hindu ideas into English and make out a dry philosophy, queer psychology, and bewildering yogiism and bring out a religion from this, which is easy, simple and popular, yet meets the needs of the highest minds, is a task only those can understand who have attempted it. Then he says, the living Advaita, dry Advaita should become living and poetic in everyday life. Out of bewildering yogiism must come the most practical psychology. And all this must be put in a form that even a child may be able to grasp it. That is my task, he says. So Advaita, which is in the hills and the forests, should be brought back for practicing in everyday life by everybody, wherever he or she is. The relevance of the modern life is the idea that infinite power and knowledge is within you, and you can live Advaita wherever you are, because you are that infinite self. Even if you imagine that, you get so much of joy and so much of strength. If you realize that, how much of strength this will come. This is the relevance of Swamiji in the modern age, which was given to him by his Guru, Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji would not accept it, because he was so much conditioned by the Brahma Samaj. That Swami Vivekananda, that Narendranath who cried, Tumi Tribhuvananath, Ami Bhikhari Anath, Kemone Bolivo Tomai, Esho Mama Hridaya. You are the Lord of the three worlds. I am a poor beggar. How can I tell you, my Lord, come and sit in my heart? That Narendranath who cried in Dakshineshwar, in the world pulpit he said, never forget the glory of human nature. Buddhas and Christs are the waves of the infinite ocean which I am. He humbled his chest. How Sri Ramakrishna transformed him so that he can be a worldly preacher and preach this Advaita to everybody. Ramakrishna never gave Advaita to anybody, even not even to Rakhal. Swamiji says, he never gave Advaita to anybody, but he gave it to me. Why? Because anything given to Narendra will spread everywhere. Narendra will not keep it to himself. Swami Ramakrishna wanted this glorious, powerful, life-giving message of Advaita. Oneness should spread all over the world, now that the world is panic-stricken, confused, conflict-ridden. This message of Advaita, preached by Ramakrishna Vivekananda in the modern idiom, in a simple, clear language, is the only solution to all the confusion in this world. This is saving challenge of Advaita, Vedanta to the modern world. Try this and you will see how you succeed. I just end, my time is already up. I have exceeded my time. Just one incident I want to tell you, how Swamiji himself practiced this and made it practical. There is a great artist. She was a celebrity in Paris, in France. She was extremely depressed, as most celebrities are. Celebrities from the outside, you see the glamour, but inwardly how much they cry, how lonely and depressed they feel. Emma Calvé was her name. She was attempting ending her life. Then somebody told her, you go to, one great yogi has come. She went to Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji was writing on his desk. He did not even look up. He said, oh, what a terrible atmosphere you brought with you. Calm down, calm down. Then Swamiji spoke about some of the great secrets in her life which she did not share with anybody. এমন কথাগুলো বললেন, সে কাউকে বলিনি, কি করে উনি জানলেন? আপনি কি করে জানলেন? She was flabbergasted, she was frightened, she was confused. How did you know all this? Swamiji said, is it necessary? I can read you like an open book. Then he said, don't brood your secret sorrow. You are that infinite self. All power is there. Assert your divinity within. But the impulse of this great soul straight went into her. She was entering into kind of samadhi. Losing herself. She cried, oh, what are you doing to me? I'm losing myself. Then Swamiji told a story, which we should remember always. A water drop was falling into the ocean. And the drop was crying. Then the ocean said, why are you crying? Kanchishkana? Oh, am I a drop chilam? My individuality as a drop will now vanish because I will drop into the ocean. Then the ocean said, your individuality as a drop will not go. You will regain your individuality as the ocean. To me, ocean is chile. The rays of the sun took you up, and you are coming back to the ocean, to my bosom, to join the millions and trillions of water drops, your brothers and sisters like you. This is the application of Advaita, and later on, how many varieties will come of practical application. I always dream of a new school of psychology, which is called Yoga Vedanta psychology, the kind of psychological, psychiatric process which Swami Vivekananda applied on Emma Khalve, based on the wisdom of Advaita, that we are the infinite divine. Thank you.